Hello and welcome to the next video in the Ardupilot on Helicopter series. Now, if you have been following along, hopefully you have made it safely to this point and you've had it hovering. The next bits kind of require us to have something called filtering set up on the Ardupilot system. Now, the flight controller is going to feel an awful lot of vibration on a helicopter, more than probably on any other single model type. And you need to make sure that the IMU, the gyros, are not feeling any of that vibration so that things like the tuning can be done successfully and cleanly. And I really didn't understand a lot of this stuff before I've kind of gone through it in detail with this gentleman up here called Matt. Matt is one of the Ardupilot developers who's been holding my hand through this entire process. And I am thrilled to say that because of his kind and generous help with his time and knowledge, I now have a helicopter that now flies. However, it needs to be tuned and I probably need to trim the tail as well. However, to do both of those things, what I really need to do is to set up a filter. Now, because this helicopter is using a set head speed, so it has a governor inside the ESC. Again, this is the OMP Hobby M4 I'm using for this now. The head speed is set to around, well, it's just over 2000 RPM. How do I know it's just over 2000 RPM? Well, we actually took the blades off and used an RPM measuring device on the shaft to actually measure what the RPM was. If you know what the RPM of the main head is, then you know what? You can use a quick and dirty trick that's kind of in the documentation, and it's a very simple way of doing it. What you do is you divide your head speed, which I think I figured out as 2070. I've guessed it as it was wandering very slightly, but it's about there. Divide that by 60. That's going to give you the base frequency of the vibration that's going to be going into the flight controller from the head rotating. And then it means that you can just plug that number in. I think my number, if I'd have just guessed this, would have been about 34 hertz, something like that. So you can just plug all those numbers in, go into Mission Planner, go into the parameter tree and plug all those in, and that's going to be a reasonable first stab. However, there is a much better way to do it, and I'm going to kind of take you through that now. And in fact, now I know how to use this tool, I'm probably going to be using it on more of my Ardupilot stuff. So thank you, Matt, for giving me another skill. What we can do is we can actually get the flight controller to log all of the vibration that it feels using raw IMU data. We can load that into a tool and then see exactly where those spikes are coming from, both from the vibration from the head, but also vibration from things like the tail, and also the harmonics of that vibration, because you won't just get one spike, you'll kind of see it repeated like ripples in a pond. And you can set up the static filter really easily. And again, I can use a static filter here because the head speed is constant, because the governor in the ESC is going to be driving the head at that one particular time. And actually using this method, you can go backwards, and by knowing what the main vibration frequency of the head is, if you multiply that by 60, that'll also give you the head speed that your head is running at. So it's quite cool stuff. Anyway, time codes to all this stuff down below if you haven't already figured that out. Let's go onto the bench. There's a couple of things before we do a little test hover that we need to do to set up the flight controller so it logs the data so that we can use it with a tool to see how we need to set up this static filter. So here we are on the bench connected to the helicopter, and before we do a little test hover to get the data on what the vibration feels like to the flight controller, we need to make sure that information is being logged. First thing we need to do is come over here and search for log_bitmask, and if we look at this, we can set the bitmask. The thing that were really important here is don't have things like fast attitude on, will be my advice. Make sure that raw IMU is selected. That's the raw data from the IMU is going to be saved into the log file, and that's what we're going to have to look at in order to figure out where the static notch filter is going to end up. As well as that, we also have to tell it what kind of raw IMU data we need. So we need to search for INS_raw. And these will give you the options, and we can set the bit mask here as well. Now, this is one of those cool things that you only turn on when you want this data, because it creates very large log files. So I've just turned on log primary gyro only. Once you have the data in order to get the static notch filter, I would come back in here and turn that off. If all of this stuff is turned off, then even though you've set the raw IMU to be recorded in the log bit mask that we've just done, you won't get anything. So make sure, I would just log the primary gyro data and you're going to be tickety-boo. Make sure you write that to the flight controller, and then the next job then is to go out to the field, arm the model, flick off the motor interlock, and then take off. Now, of course, you need to make sure that everything on the model is nice and tight, nothing is loose, and just hover it around. I would reckon get, kind of half a minute, a minute's worth of just hovering and gentle flying. That is going to be perfect for what you need. Once you have done that, then you can come back to the laptop, and we can download a log file. Back here in the bottom, we have something called data flash logs. We can download a data flash log. You can click the one that you're interested in and click download the log, and then that will save it onto your computer. If you're not sure where it's going, I use this little trick. I always click on review a log, and then it's going to open where the log files are stored on your computer. It's going to be in the helicopter section, and in here is the log file that you need. Copy it and put it somewhere safe. And it's probably going to be a little bit bigger than some of the other logs, just because it has that IMU data and we're ready for the next step. However, I would recommend, now we have the log file data, come back here and go back to ins_raw and set your bit mask and remove the log primary gyro data. And that's going to mean that that is going to be a little bit better. It's not going to be logging that every time you fly. So let's go on the computer and actually look at that data to figure out how we can set up the filter for this particular model. So here we are in the tool, and this is just a web tool. This is actually a web browser I'm just screenshotting right now. I'll put a link down to it below. It's the firmware.ardupilot.org/tools/webtools/filter review. And this is something that is incredibly powerful. First thing, of course, is we do need to load in the file that we have got. And there we have it. And I would set the window size to be a little higher, but we'll come back to that in a second. Keep the log type as raw. It's detected that from the log file. And we can see here that this is the flight, and there's lots of different wibbly bits in here. You can see that the throttle goes from quite low to be quite high. So this is probably where it's flying. Things like the altitude is probably going to give you a hint. It's guessed at where the brackets need to be, so that we're just looking at the flying elements. I would probably bring them in just a smidgen, just to make sure that we are looking at nice clean data. And we click on calculate. So what it's going to do, it's going to look at the IMU data for that bit of hovering around that we're doing. Now, let's get rid of the estimated post filters, because that just makes it a little bit more complicated. So this is what the noise actually looks like. And you can see here that we have all these different spikes. It's below the 200 Hertz we're really interested in. So let me just drag a box over the piece that we're interested in. There is the normal kind of distribution of the noise. We can see that the three lines here represent the X, Y, and Z gyros. And again, we're only capturing it for gyro 1. This looks quite choppy. Watch what happens. If we go up here and we increase the window size to 4096 and say calculate, we get much sharper peaks, and that's actually what we want. We can see here, these are all the peaks of the noise. Now, I know, because my head speed is roughly about 2000 RPM, that around the 33, 34 is roughly where my main vibration from my rotating head is going to come from. Look at that. 33.61 is what the gyros, and all three of them you can actually see, you can feel it here, is actually where the root frequency is that we are dealing with here on this particular helicopter. Now, this is pretty much exactly where we expected it to be. And the coolest thing, as I said in the intro, if we multiply that by 60, that's actually going to give me my head speed. Kind of cool, isn't it? Now, we can set up 2 different notch filters, and there's lots of different notch filter types we can have. We need to enable it so that we can start to play. It can be throttle based, it can be based on an RPM sensor, ESC telemetry. We're not using any of that. We're just using fixed, because the head speed is fixed. It gets really simple. We need to copy the notch filter in, and that looks like it's 33.61. So we'll put the notch frequency as 33.61. The bandwidth, or how much either side it's going to attenuate, I would put that about typically roughly half. So 15 or 20 is probably going to be fine. Let's do 20 and just see what that looks like. Leave everything else the same. Click on recalculate filters, and it hasn't done anything. Well, at the moment it's not, because we're not looking at the post filter view. But what we can do is we can show the notch here on this diagram that we've just quickly made and see how it lines up. And spectacularly, you can see that this line is the one that we've set up for the base frequency. And also, by default, it's set up the first harmonic, and that's pretty bang on with the next spike that's getting. In fact, that spike is actually worse for the y-axis than the base one. So how's that happening? Well, this is the harmonics down in here. We can turn on additional harmonics. I would say the rule of thumb when you're new to this, just set the first 4. Let's recalculate the filters again and see how they line up. They're pretty close. I would say as we get further up, we're getting a little bit farther away. So maybe just increase the filter just a fraction for the base frequency. Is that lining up better? A little bit more maybe. And this is the fun part with this, is you can mess around until it starts to look. Now that's getting better. I would maybe even go up a little bit more. There we go. So now with notch frequency of 33.68, it's actually landing beautifully on each of those harmonics, because that's the rotor head, that's the first, second and third harmonic. There's other harmonics down here, but they are being they kind of go less and less. We could actually turn them on if you really wanted to. Let's do the 5th one, recalculate that filter. How does that line up? Yeah, that's kind of capturing that. That's not a particularly large spike of noise, but that looks reasonable. How do you know what it looks like afterwards? Well, if we look at the post filter results, go back to the full screen and just zoom back in again on the piece we're interested, you can see now that the noise is being attenuated and those big spikes are being handled by the filter. Now, we could set up another filter if we find there's other frequencies coming around. We can also do things like we can increase the amount of attenuation. The higher the number, the larger the attenuation. But you can see here, this is actually a really nice way of doing it, to actually set up like a static notch filter, because it's dramatically reducing the amount of noise and vibration that's getting through to the gyro. So say we're happy with this. This looks reasonable. Let's just do the first 4. I'm not particularly convinced that that's going to give me any real benefit. Okay, that's going to help. What do I do now? Well, now I can actually save the parameters. And the parameters are in this param file. If we just open that in Notepad, you can see here that all of these settings are the ones that we need to load into the mission planner stuff. We just need to copy these all across. We can just load them in, but I would say you might have to do it a couple of times, only because you'll see that we're actually enabling the notch filter, which is what's happening here. Until that's enabled, all of these other settings won't go in. So I would say I would usually load these things twice and then just go through and triple check that everything has appeared in Mission Planner, and then your notch filter has been set up and your helicopter is now attenuating not only the vibration it's feeling from the rotor head rotating, but also knocking out some of the harmonics that are also affecting how well the gyro feels the movement of the aircraft. So there we have it. It wasn't too tricky, was it? That tool, that web tool, is actually incredibly powerful and something I'm going to be using a lot from here on in. If you are watching this series, you're enjoying it, do hit the thumbs up and do let me know, pop me a comment. This is one of those parts of the Ardupilot system that isn't in use widely. However, interestingly, Matt was telling me he has seen an uptick in the number of people trying a helicopter with Ardupilot since the series started. So thank you to all of you who are playing with this stuff. Next videos, now we have this set up with a filter that's going to get rid of a lot of the noise in the flight controller, is we'll probably do a quick video on how to trim the servo for the tail so that it holds beautifully on every liftoff, and then the final video will be a tuning video, and then that's probably going to be the end of this particular journey with this helicopter. So let me know if you want to see that stuff. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching my video. Check out the playlist, and adding Pedantry 360 to your search terms will help you find my content. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. You can support the time I spend here answering questions and helping others by using the links in the video description.